Okie dokie. What's going on, fellas? We've arrived at the gym for our next deadlift session. As we talked about in the one that went up yesterday, we've been pulling back the assistance work this week because this is kind of that third priority session in this 3-week waving approach we're taking right now. So hopefully we're going to be securing a nice rep PR here. 3 reps, I think, even would be a PR because I've never, right? It's been a long time since I've pushed for like heavy 2 and 3 rep maxes because I used to be so caught up in like, okay, to feel as though I'm prepared for a new 1 rep max, I need to hit a new 5 RM, like a new 10 RM, a new 8 RM, a new 5 RM, 3 RM. And the thing that would like show me I'm ready for the 1 RM was hitting a new 2 rep max. And that was like how I proved myself because I understood that rep maxes do kind of matter. And I probably overemphasized them. And at some point I started saying, doing that second rep doesn't actually provide me a whole lot of value in that preparation for the 1 RM. Doing the first rep in such a way that I know I could have done a second kind of does everything to prep me for that heavy single that the double did with much less fatigue, and it doesn't drill the kind of broke down patterns the second rep might. So at some point along the line, that approach switched to like taking the same weight I would hit for a new 2 RM for a single, and maybe even the weight I would be taking for a new 3 RM for a single, maybe a double, maybe a single. And that led me to better heavy single weeks. So that was a big change I made. So I really don't have particularly good 2 or 3 RMs on anything. For example, like I don't think I hit a new 2 or 3 RM in my lead up to the 600 bench. I also didn't hit a new 10 or 8 RM. I definitely hit all-time best in like that kind of 5 rep range, which was indicative of like new high levels of performance, but also my top singles moving in certain ways was all the indication I needed. Obviously, if you're getting that much stronger as I did for that lead up, you're going to probably secure some kind of rep PR, but I had pushed my higher reps harder in the past towards like RPE 10 sets. And again, I kind of found that like, hey, if the goal is to train for a 1 RM, rather than doing like a maximal effort set of 10 on the bench press and kind of drilling a bit of breakdown, I got better results doing 2, 3, 4 sets, leaving 1 or 2 in the tank and building volume with a little bit less breakdown. That way, as the weight gets heavier, the form is probably going to get worse. So let's start from something pretty pristine. Let's build as many quality reps as we can in the 60 to 75% range before we push into the strength phase. So again, I didn't push for like maximal effort sets of like 8 and 10 as I have in the past. Perfectly valid way to get bigger and stronger, to do high effort 8, 9, 10, 12 reppers. But that being said, I found that accumulating multiple sets with a little bit in the tank was yielding me better preparation for when I pushed heavy. So kind of that same deal is going on historically with my deadlift. I don't have a good 3 rep I can look back on, a good 2 rep I can look back on. So I think if I get 3 here at that 725, even that's a PR. 4 is kind of what I would really hope for, which would be very indicative of new all-time levels of strength, because I'm not sure. I think at my best I could have done that, but I think I'll be able to do it cleaner than I could have done it in the past. So looking really, really good. Hopefully this session goes well and this peeled back fatigue pays off. And then it'll be a bit of a brutal session because I'm not pulling back on assistance work today, because my next lower session is not like a priority session. It's a session that I'm expected to train under fatigue. I only really pull back the assistance work if the following session is something that I'm supposed to come in fresh for. I roll into the next kind of 3-week wave next week. So even though I'm going very heavy today, doing that kind of maximal effort set, I'm still going to do my good mornings afterward. I'm still going to do my rowing afterward. I'm going to do some swings and some hamstring curls, my usual kind of cluster of deadlift assistance work that's worked well for me. Some kind of rowing, some kind of ham curl, some kind of hip extension, a little bit of abs. And then the good morning right now is my primary squat variation, because it's selecting like a part of my squat that's very underdeveloped, which is I don't feel comfortable hinging with a lot of weight on my back. I'm built with a very long torso, short legs. I try to stay as stock upright on everything as I can. So it's very much hitting what my main lift misses to do good mornings. So those are actually a squat variation for me within my program. And I'm trying to leverage everything towards this deadlift a little bit. So I'm using SSB as my primary squat because that carries over to my deadlift a little bit better than other squat variations. And then I'm using SSB Good Mornings as my like one deviation away main variation, which I wouldn't really do for very many athletes. But again, it does help in biasing everything towards being a little bit more that posterior chain, erector, heavy, big deadlifting lifter that I'm trying to be. And then at some point, we'll probably be shooting for a big like Olympic style high bar, because I think those are badass. And I think an 800 Olympic style squat would be something I would be very, very proud of. So that might be the next goal after we finish this slight shift. Like people always talk about specialization, and I'm hesitant to like use that word because I'm not specializing. I'm working very hard on my pressing. I'm working hard on my grip. I'm working hard on my events. Those things are trying to progress year round. And I think a lot of people, when they hear specialization, they take that and they run with it to putting like not just things on the back burner, but almost like sliding backwards on everything else. And I just think most people, myself included, aren't like at this proximity career peak where you need this like omega level of specialization. I like thinking of it as like, I'm not running a deadlift specialization program. I'm just placing a little extra emphasis on my deadlift. I'm still trying to get my legs stronger. I'm trying to get my squat stronger. I'm just having to use a squat that I know will carry over a little bit better. I'm still trying to get my pressing stronger. Obviously, there's no press that's going to carry over to my deadlift at all, but I'm still trying to get these things stronger. But if I like mentally, I'm emphasizing my deadlift. If there's one session that I'm really going to dig deep when I'm tired on, right now it's going to be the deadlift. Maybe in the future, that'll be pressing sessions to get a big overhead. Maybe in the future, that'll be big squatting sessions, because a 800 Olympic style squat sounds fucking cool. All right, once again, we have a week gap between me filming this and me actually remembering to voice this over. This time, it's because I was pitching a hissy fit because I wanted to get 4 reps and I only got 3 reps. Still a rep PR. I'm completely in the wrong to be as pissed off as I am about it, but I'm still pretty upset. Now, long story short, all that happened is, despite pulling back on my squatting and some of my assistance work, I kind of have to keep my foot on the gas in terms of the events in the upcoming show. So in the middle of the week, I had my event day, and I guess I kind of underestimated how taxing heavy sandbag to shoulder work and heavy sandbag extensions is on that kind of low back posterior chain. Because I came into this session being like, oh yeah, I pulled back on my on my lower days. I skipped my assistance work on my squat day. I did speed pulls instead of my usual heavy stiff legs. I should be rocking and rolling, and I should predictably be having a really good day, right? Because sometimes we kind of randomly have a good day. Sometimes it's set up to where we should, or we're supposed to have a good day on that day. And it was not very long into my warm-ups before I realized this isn't the good day that it was supposed to be. It wasn't a terrible day. I didn't feel weak, but I did not feel that significant increase that I usually get from pulling back the fatigue. And for a second, I was like, well, what happened? I slept not great, but not bad, pretty par for the course for me. The variables all lined up. Why is this not predictably the good day that the program should be? And I was like, I'm an idiot. It's because I did not pull back at all on my event work. If anything, because I was fresh from pulling back on my squat day, I did more total volume on the sandbag because I'm like, oh man, the sandbag feels easy today. Yeah, you dummy. That was because you were saving that energy for the deadlifts. And then I just spazzed and was like, yeah, great bag practice day, way more total volume than I've ever hit before. Came into the deadlifts, was pulling my warm-ups. I was like, these don't feel that light. I know I can still do my triple. I can still get my nice little triple PR, and I can continue my good kind of course of action. But this is kind of where what I talked about maybe the other video of prepping for my 880 deadlift. I'm kind of training through this contest prep, still working on that 880 as a side objective rather than putting it completely on the back burner. But obviously having this kind of every week need to be hammering these events is going to have some fatigue that I might normally be able to kind of regulate and strip back. Now, before it completely passes me by, here on screen is my top set. Not bad, not great. Honestly, all things considered, not the worst. I can feel that my lats definitely need to continue coming up, so we're going to continue pushing. I just do cable rows. I like training cable rows for like above 10 reps and just trying to get stronger and stronger at those. My brother does kind of Yates rows. A lot of my clients do pendlay rows. A lot of my clients do barbell rows. A lot of it's just finding not the row you like the most, because sometimes the one you like the most is not working weaknesses, it's working strengths, but one that you feel kind of replicates some of the positions and some of the tensions you're looking for in your deadlift. And you can kind of feel when you're deadlifting, when you're strong at this motion, you can feel its effect. And when you're not strong at this motion, you can feel its effect. So you're looking for what that is for you. Some of my guys do heavy dumbbell rows. Those have worked quite well for me as well. Some of my guys do barbell rows. I actually get very, very good results from just straight bar cable low rows. So I often add those in, or I mean, I guess they're kind of always in. And I know I need to really kind of nut up and be pushing those hard. That being said, my camera died, so I didn't film them for you, but I promise I emptied the tank on some cable low rows. I can also feel that my hamstrings do need to continue getting stronger. I'm still using a lot of erector as a primary mover. My squat strength, my kind of leg strength, that kind of variable within my deadlift, I'm a strong enough squatter to where that has not been a limiting factor, like that general lower body squatting strength hasn't been a limiting factor in my deadlift, maybe ever, and I don't expect it to be as long as I'm placing any emphasis at all on trying to get a stronger squat. In regards to getting the hamstring stronger, my bread and butter motion is just dead stop stiff leg deadlifts that I do on my squat day, just trying to get those back to all-time level strength to match the fact that I am at all-time level strength of the deadlift. I can feel that there's kind of a hole in my development there that I'm not kind of all tides rising. I'm a little bit ahead of the curve on the deadlift, which is something that we would intentionally do towards the end, which is, okay, we're going to pull back on everything else and try to get that deadlift ahead of everything else. We'll be really, really good at deadlifting. Earlier in the preparation for something like this 880, we want kind of that I think I said in the last video about something else, but clearly it's an analogy I like, that kind of tide that's raising all of the boats. We want all of our exercises that we find relevant to our deadlift to be coming up in tandem. We don't need our deadlift excelling in performance past those. We kind of want to be thinking about building this more well-rounded base of everything being kind of equal, and then we transition into trying to display that in terms of the deadlift being way ahead of everything else. The exercises that I'm using, I switched my hamstring curls to these Nordics just because they're good exercise. This is my last down set, so a lot of assistance here. Top one I was able to do, I think, just body weight with 25 pounds of assistance for 5 reps, which is actually not bad. And then my standard stiff legs. At the beginning, I showed you my weighted plank setup that I've been really, really liking. My core is feeling very strong. Those in the weighted side planks are treating me really, really well right now. Currently, the squat variation that I'm doing that you guys saw is I'm doing good mornings as a squat variation because, you know, you're trying to hit what you miss. I stay very, very upright when I squat. So trying to keep my posterior chain strong in a way relevant to squatting does me a lot of good. So I treat that as a squat variation. Though that being said, when I'm looking to push my squat up a little bit more, that will probably become like a squat against chains or a pause squat, and the main day will drop the pause, something like that. So as I said, my camera died, so I can't show you all of the assistance, but the session went front plank, deadlift up to that triple, SSB good mornings. Then I did my cable low rows with a straight bar, 1 top set, 2 down sets, 1 top set, 2 down sets of these assisted Nordics. And then I ended the session, again, 1 top set, 2 down sets. You can spot the pattern there, with heavy swings. I've got a loadable kettlebell now. I really like them. I think they're just a solid way to run up some additional hinging volume that I'm kind of spamming right now. Thank you, boys, for watching. If you have any ideas for how to spice these up and keep them fun, let me know.